Jamie Bianchini, co-founder and COO, Profit and Purpose. Profit and Purpose is a purpose-driven technology advisory and procurement services company that increases profitability, purpose, and growth by creating a guaranteed 10% cost reduction, new recurring donation streams to nonprofit partners, and enhancing culture and brand value. Jamie, I'm so excited to hear more. Take it away.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's really good to be back here. I just said my name is Jamie Bianchini. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Profit and Purpose. We are a startup B corporation here in Bend, Oregon. We had our launch party yesterday. It was awesome. And so we are a purpose-driven brokerage and advisory of recurring technology services that increases profitability, purpose, and growth, and I'm excited to share that with you tonight. But before I do, I was asked to give an update on Ludella. I don't know if anyone was here when it was almost exactly 3 years ago that I said, Alexa, light my candles, and lit real flame candles on stage. That was an invention that I came up with on a bike trip around the world that raised some money for, came and pitched here. After that, went to BBC, won Audience Choice Award at BBC, and then shipped our Kickstarter on time, which I was really proud, for Christmas time, about 1,000 candles out. And then we got invited to Techstars. And so I went to Techstars in Boulder and learned a lot in Techstars at Boulder and started continuing to sell. We're also a B corporation, and our motto was Better Light, Better Lives. We were donating a book for every candle sold. So we ended up donating 5,000 books to build 4 library projects in underserved communities, and then continued to sell through our inventory. It was a really tough time with the tariff wars, as you know, making it very difficult to go and start scaling capital. But I went to a trade show, had a big line of people buying candles, and our competition came and saw what we were doing and made a nice offer to acquire the company so that we can continue to move it forward. So we did an acquisition a successful acquisition in Q4 of 2019. My wife and I were really excited. We bought our first home here in Bend, and we were able to kind of settle in. And then Q1 2020 hit, which, as we all know, was a very tough time being here in Bend. So my wife and I are pretty sensitive people, and we kind of felt the pain that our community was having there, and it was tough. And we knew that decrease of revenue, being in tourism and hospitality here a lot, was decreasing, not only affecting people and their business owners, but our community, because a lot of our nonprofit partners were also getting affected by that, right? If profitability is low and we're going to a downturn caused by a pandemic or any downturn, which is normal, those nonprofit partners get hurt. So we decided, my wife and I, we said next social venture we do, we want it to be something consistent, something that is less volatile with the ups and downs of community. And we kind of set that intention before we started our next company, and that intention led to Profit and Purpose. So Profit and Purpose, we were going into the technology industry. Why? First of all, it's massive, right? Recurring business services and technology services, a multi-trillion-dollar global industry. So the size of it is obviously important, but probably more important by far is consistency, right? Whoever has a business here, you walk into your company, the first thing you do is you flick on the light switch. If you don't pay your electricity, your utility, the lights don't work and you're not in business. If you go to make a phone call and you didn't pay your bill, you're not in business. If you go to send an email and you didn't pay your internet provider, you're not in business. If you didn't pay your security provider, you can be in trouble too, based on the info we heard tonight. So these are essential fixed costs, right? So these are costs, these are resources that leave any business no matter what, and you have to pay those, otherwise you're not in business. So that was one thing that really drew us into this industry. And so what are the problems in the overall technology services industry? One is most companies are paying too much, all right? So we're all really busy. We decide we want some mobile phones, so we go to Verizon, we get our mobile phones, and we never really go back and look at those bills again. They just recur, because we're all too busy, right? Most company, unless you're an enterprise, you don't have a procurement department. You don't have someone who's going to analyze what's the competitive landscape, what should I be paying. So most companies are just paying too much, which affects profitability, and if you're a purpose-driven company, that affects your ability to support your community. The second problem is most of these, pretty much all of these companies, those services were not procured with purpose. Why? Because nobody does procurement with purpose except for us. So we are new to the space and doing what we do. And so to talk about our solution, I'm going to actually go through and talk about our solution of increasing profitability, purpose and growth with an actual customer. So one of our first customers is called Real Wealth Network. It's an 18-year-old real estate company. They do real estate investment, and they are purpose-driven to the core. They've been donating 10% of profits since they started. That culture has created a really vibrant culture. That commitment to purpose has created a culture where there's literally no turnover. Productivity is through the roof, and you can feel how awesome this team is. And a lot of purpose-driven companies have that culture. So they said, Jamie, let's get started. What do we do? And the first thing we did a free, no obligation audit. So we go in and we just look at their entire vendor list. Right? They give us the full kimono open. We look at the vendor list. We came back to them after doing a free audit. We said, in 5 months, your voice over IP service is going to expire. You're paying way too much. We could probably save you between 40 and 50%. They're like, no way. And everything's going to work the same. I said, everything will work the same. You'll have no downtime. So we ended up doing a migration over to a new provider, saved them 48%, put thousands of dollars of increased net profit into their bank account, and that cost them nothing. That's the first service we offer called PP Profit, increasing profitability. The second part that we did is called PP Purpose. We then created a new recurring new recurring donation stream that didn't exist before, tied to that fixed cost, $500 recurring donation that charity partner could rely on, because it's not tied to profitability, it's not tied to a bad quarter or a bad year, it's tied to that fixed cost. So that didn't exist before, so they were excited about that, obviously, and their team was excited about it, and that leads us to the third service we do that helps increase growth, called PP Growth. PP Growth is when we went in and we said, how do we communicate your deeper commitment to your team? So I'm not sure if everyone can see this, but we created this asset called Every Phone Call Supports Our Mission. And we communicated that in a quarterly all-hands at their meeting, and their team went crazy because they knew now every time they're picking up their phone, doing their normal business, that service was tied to a deeper purpose. Increased morale, noticeably increased morale in the company, and then now the company has now announced that they're going to be moving over their e-signature over, so every DocuSign is going to be supporting their purpose. They're going to be moving their email, every email going out, every webinar, so we can go each service and literally purpose power that service because we're paid by the providers. So our business model is pretty simple. We're a broker. We're paid by the providers as a reseller. We, as a B corporation, we take our top line revenue and take a very large chunk of it, and we donate it on a regular basis over to our nonprofit partners, and that's our business model. And then we help, of course, with that messaging and communication to build a more vibrant team for better productivity, retention, recruiting, and growth. So just make sure I follow my notes here. Team, how do we pull this off? I am not an expert. Definitely don't have as much depth as some of the people in the room as it relates to technology. So the last 20 months, I've been building a series of partnerships. There's 3 core partnerships I built. One is with a company called Ingram. Many of you guys probably have heard of Ingram. TBI, 30-year-old master agency, and another one called AppSmart, 3 large partnerships, as well as a lot of individual partnerships with providers themselves, so that we now have access to dozens of engineers that become an extension of a company's IT team, back office, over 100 people that we can tap into to make sure that we're keeping in line with all the contracts, and allows us to be able to broker over 1,000 different providers to make sure we have a carrier agnostic approach to going in and helping people optimize their IT spends and really purpose power their entire technology stack from top to bottom to increase profitability, growth, and purpose. So that's what we do, and there's doing good is good for business. I wanted to leave you guys with a couple important stats. If you're considering purpose powering your organization or building more purpose into it, according to some of the latest research out there, is about a 225% increase in productivity from employees who feel a deep connection to their company's purpose. So that's good for business. Consumers, 79% of consumers say they're going to be much more loyal to a purpose-driven brand, and 74% of LinkedIn members interviewed said that they give a large percentage of focus on companies that are purpose-driven. So the ask today, we're bootstrapped, unlike my candle company that had to raise a bunch of money. We've been bootstrapping this all along. And so my ask is not really financial right now, but it is very from the heart. We are on a mission, my wife and I, of what we're really trying to do here, which is to redirect portions of this multi-trillion-dollar industry out to causes to help support our most challenging social and environmental challenges that we have out there. These resources already exist. Here in Central Oregon alone, the businesses just in Central Oregon alone are already sending up tens of millions of dollars of resources up to providers that are not procured with purpose, right? And they're also spending too much. So just in our community right here, people don't know that there's an option that you can just, instead of paying directly to Ben Broadband, you can go to Jamie and say, Jamie, can you get me into Ben Broadband? And yes, I can. I can sell Ben Broadband. We can sell competitors' Ben Broadband as well. So the ask is to please, if you know anybody who is a purpose-driven leader, especially somebody who's in the C-suite or HR and finance, over 20 employees is really our sweet spot. From 20 employees up to an enterprise we can handle. Make an introduction to us. I've got some really cool stickers that I'd like you to put on your water bottle so you can think of me when you're drinking your water, and then a little card to remind. So I'll be around here. Grab a sticker for me to remind you, and then that is my website, and you can just refer and make some intros. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jamie. So this is so cool. How did you come up with how to make it work?
That's definitely a longer story, but I did a bicycle trip around the world on a tandem bicycle, and while I was doing that, I found one company to sign over their services over to me. And while I traveled around the world, that revenue was coming into my bank account, and that company scaled from 10 to several hundreds of employees, and I was able to have a consistent amount of money to start about 11 different charity projects going around the world. So that was the original kind of proof of concept that I know it's possible, and I had already learned what being a channel or an independent broker was already about. So it kind of just putting two and two together, and really inspired by what happened with COVID and seeing what we can do to create more consistency in our support.
Oh, this is so cool. And did that company report any sort of hey, our culture improved, or our people are...
They scaled from 10 employees up to a massive acquisition. So I can't say it's exactly us that did it, but we did send all the pictures of us out on the bike, picking up strangers on a tandem, and they said their team really loved it. So I'd like to say I took some part in it, so I'm not sure.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, questions for Jamie. Questions in the audience? Yes. So how do the businesses or organizations who want the donations get signed up with this?
Well, we're focused on the actual companies themselves. So let's take Roughware, for example, who's a company that hopefully will end up becoming a customer with our. They're already donating. They've chosen their various nonprofits that they continually donate to, Conservation Alliance, Central Oregon Land Trust, and so forth. So when we purpose power those services from them, we create streams over to their choice. The client gets to choose where they want to deploy that capital. From the program.
That's very cool. Yes.
So I think you touched on it. Just curious, as a sales guy.
Yeah.
Where the money comes from. So when you make the donation from the broker agreement, where does the revenue that you donate to the charitable organizations come from? Does it come from your side or the client's side?
Where are the charitable organizations coming from? Your side, client side?
Yeah. So we're compensated by the providers. So good example, again, I'll just choose Roughware. If Roughware gives us their fiber circuit that goes into their big building over there at Embark and Roughware, and we're managing that. Let's say we bring in revenue from that provider, that whether it's Ben Broadband or Lumen or whoever it is, let's say we bring in $100 of revenue on our end. We as Profit and Purpose takes approximately 30% as of right now in the early phases, approximately 30% straight off. So when we quote a client, we quote you, here's the price you're paying now, $100. It's going to be $80 after the thing, and $20 is going to be going on a monthly basis, so on an annual donation will be X. So it's all part of the quoting, it's all can be budgeted, and it's all part of the contract. And it all comes from the provider, because the providers there's two ways to get services from providers. You call up Verizon and say, Verizon, I need 10 cell phones for my team. Or you find a value-added reseller like myself and say, Jamie, find us 10 phones from either Verizon or T-Mobile or whoever you think is best, and we go and provision those. Price is the same, oftentimes lower with us, but now you have the ability to purpose power that service instead of it just going all directly to the overhead of those providers.
So you can take the difference and donate to charity.
So then you take the difference and donate it to charity.
Yeah,
if
it's
you
not
want.
it's not a matter of difference. We're not donating a savings. Those savings go to the bottom lines of our clients so you can grow. Our idea is that in order for companies to grow, they need more profitability, to hire more people, to reinvest in new technology. So that profit is the company's profit. The way we generate the new streams of donations is a portion of our revenue as the value-added reseller. Yeah. So profit and purpose.
Very cool.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so this sounds like a really interesting services company, as a bar, but do you have a product strategy?
So it's a really, he said, it sounds like a very interesting services company. Do you have a product strategy?
We do. We're a reseller with Ingram, so we can resell anything. You want Dell computers for your team, and you want us to be the procurement partner for your Dell, for your entire team's thing, or Apple. So we can sell it all. So products, but we're staying in, as of now, technology services and being that procurement partner, outsourced procurement partner that doesn't charge anything, but your outsourced procurement partner that's purpose-driven, that aligns all of those spends to your deeper purpose. Did
Very
that answer your
cool.
question?
Well, that's selling the product, that's reselling product.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about turning this into a product so that it's more scalable.
Can you turn this into a product and make it more scalable?
What's this? I'm sorry, I lost you.
So resell it, being a reseller is a services business, you'll scale linearly, right? One to one, you gotta hire more people to sell more services, whereas a product strategy you can scale exponentially. That's where you get the big margin.
So he's asking a scale question. How would you scale this?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't have a plan for that. Is probably the best question, and maybe you can help, and you and I can meet and talk more about it, because I do want to scale this to the moon, and so I would love to be able to have the opportunity to get some
Excellent.
assistance there.
Aaron,
So it just so happens that you have a few utilities and the head or owners of those utilities in the room. So I'm curious if it can go backwards back to its customers as opposed to from the customer up.
so we have a lot of utilities providers
love
in
to
the
talk to
room.
any
Can
utility
it go
providers.
backwards? Would you make the deals go that way, or
I don't understand when you say go backwards.
like instead of just working with the client, can you like make some deals happen with the providers? Would you,
We're open to
He's
any
into
ways
it.
to collect the dots. I mean,
He's into it.
yeah, I mean, we're basically looking for creative ways to redistribute resources that have to get spent, and that's really a margin story. In the end, all services have certain margins. Those margins are used to pay companies' expenses, and if I'm the outsourced sales department of it, then that's a less expense can go that we can redirect over. So I'm not sure how it'll work exactly, but we're open to pretty much any
But
kind of
he's a
partnerships.
yes. He's definitely a
That's
yes.
a yes.
I
I'm a
want.
yes guy.
So you were listing off like you've got the PP product and the PP this. Any pushback? Any giggles on that, or just me?
PP? No.
The PP.
not-
It's a PP. It was a lot of PP
It was
talk.
sp-
PP growth.
PP growth.
PP growth got me too. I was kind of like, huh.
It's supposed to be PNP. It's supposed to be PNP.
Yeah, yeah.
I
It was
appreciate
very-
it. I appreciate
Lots of
that.
PP talk.
That's some good
Well,
feedback. That's some good feedback.
Jamie, this is awesome. I'm
Thank you guys
really
very
excited
much.
for you. So thanks
Please
for
get
being
some
here.
stickers
Awesome
for me,
pitch.
and so you can remember to make some introductions. I'd appreciate that. Thanks, everybody.
Very cool.